over the summer, Emma asked me to play the role of Mary, the sister of Martha and Lazarus, in this year's Easter pageant. And prior to this year, I knew a little bit about Mary's story. I knew she was the one that sat at the feet of Jesus and listened to his teaching while her sister was really busy serving in the house and wasn't willing to come and just sit at the feet of Jesus. And that was the most I knew about Mary prior to this year. Since there's so many Marys, I actually didn't realize she's the same one who anointed Jesus' feet during Simon's feast. And that's the story that the Easter pageant actually focuses on. But the story I was very familiar with depicts a lot of her character. And she's known for being the one who just gives all of her time and resources to Jesus and completely bows down before him. And in this particular story at Simon's feast, Jesus is reclined at the table with his disciples, and Mary takes a jar of oil. It's really expensive oil. They say that it was worth about a full year's worth of labor, and so it was so expensive that it would take so long to work for that much oil. Okay, cut that out because I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, she took this really expensive oil and poured it on Jesus' feet, and then other gospel accounts say that she also poured it on his head and anointed him and started washing his feet with her hair and the oil. And Judas, one of Jesus' disciples, calls her out and says, "Who is this woman? Why is she wasting all of this really precious and expensive oil on Jesus? She could have sold this oil instead and used the money to help the poor." And Jesus quiets Judas down immediately and says, "No, like what she's doing is a beautiful thing. She's actually preparing my body for burial." But anyways, I thought this was a very interesting word choice that Judas used. It's true, Mary was entirely wasting that oil on Jesus. And when we hear the word waste, it doesn't sound like we're being very good stewards of our resources. And that's exactly what Mary was doing. She wasn't savoring any of this. Literally the whole jar was being dumped out on Jesus. And I think this is a really, really cool story to just sit in and think about, that Mary saw Jesus as this man who was worth literally everything to her. He was worth all of her time, all of her money, all of her resources, the most expensive thing that she owned. He was worth all of that to her. And I'm really bummed that I didn't get to fully depict and experience this role of Mary. But if it weren't for Easter pageant, I would not have learned to just sit in that story and realize what a cool image it is to followers of Christ, of what that means to us. Because I don't know if prior to this story I would have really understood what it meant to waste everything that I had on Jesus. And he really is worth all of it, and all of our time, and all of our energy, and all of our resources. And I think that that moment in that story really impacted me in a really cool way.